Vag, vag, vag. What you gonna do when it's hot outside? Ooh, I know what. Listen to Vag. What you gonna do when the trains are down? Ooh, I know what. Listen to Vag.
No, yeah, we'll start right now. Hi guys.
Hey guys, we're back.
We're Vag and we're mad.
It's such a weird time to podcast. Like we were just saying, it feels weird because there's so much other stuff more important that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, some people have written back saying that they liked the episode and it was fun, or a nice break from some serious matters. I mean, I did feel bad of I felt weird to promote, so I didn't do heavy promoting of her stuff last
me
week.
neither.
But I think we got the same amount of listeners. And we got one Patreon, and we didn't even promote our Patreon this week.
Wow, that's so nice, guys. Thank you for listening.
Donating money.
Yeah, we hope that you're all okay out there. And this is it's a difficult time to go from the quarantine right into the protests and rioting and stuff, and it just feels like no matter what you're doing, it's not enough.
It does, because I thought about this. I donated to, that source that you put up the first beginning of the week where it lists, like, if you want to donate or text or sign petition. Yeah, so I looked up to donate money, and I donated money to, I think, a Black business in Atlanta that got looted or some damage during the protest. But then I was like, I ate at Taco Bell for 3 nights last week and then there were news or tweets going around that a lot of those people, Taco Bell or Wendy's, donate to the Trump campaign. But I'm like, oh great,
so
I just
do anything right.
I gave money to both sides this
well
week.
I mean, I guess it's kind of nice that you're open-minded and you're just donating to both.
It's almost like it's like I'm putting bets down to see who is going to win.
Right. And at the end, you're be like, well, I have money on both sides right now. So
I know that's the hard part. You're like, I don't, you do stuff like that. And then I know that it helps, but like, it's just funny that you can eradicate also by when you spend money at certain businesses and not be aware of like where they're.
Well, I saw there's so many different groups right now, and there's one group that was saying these are all the businesses that have donated or made a statement about supporting Black Lives Matter, and then there are people who are like, well, we want to support other businesses that are against that, and you're like, hey man, just do that quietly. I don't understand why, if you're doing something that's awful, keep it to yourself. I don't understand the point. And I guess that's what the real division is right now in this country, where just because you support Black Lives Matter doesn't mean that you're not for everybody. It's a weird tactic to take when you're upset someone's saying that.
No, I know. Or like, I mean, did you lose any followers by posting? Because I lost
hundreds.
Yeah,
I think about 300 on Instagram, and then maybe a couple hundred on Twitter, maybe 100 or 200. I'm posting most of my stuff on Instagram though, because I feel like that's what I'm the most active on. Yeah. And then a little bit on Facebook, but most of my stuff I post is on Instagram.
I know that's the thing when it's like, I don't understand that you get so mad that you have to unfollow when you're just basically asking for basic human rights.
Yeah, I think some of the people probably were like, I'll give her a couple of posts, and then I think I went too far for some of them, which is kind of fun just to weed out like racists on your profile. But yeah, it was about less than a week, or maybe a little bit more. There was at least 300 people I lost.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was like, that's not bad. I'm actually pretty happy that it wasn't a huge chunk. I mean, it would be devastating to know if you lost all of your fan base and you're like, wow, I must be an awful person.
Well, I think if you lose all of your fan base, you might have to consider going full racist to get some of them back. I don't know what you could do if you lose all your fan base, where you're like, well, guys, I tried to do the right thing, and now I'm just gonna have to be a full racist to get fans back.
I think that's what Nick DiPaolo did.
You know, it's funny. I follow Nick DiPaolo on Instagram, and he's just like in a shed somewhere working out and getting buff. Like, he is like the most buff dude I've ever seen right now.
I know, and he's like approaching 60, right?
I guess. I have no idea. But yeah, he's like working out hardcore down wherever he is.
You're like, what are you working out for, Nick?
I think he's going to fight everyone. He's in a shed just getting ripped.
He moved to Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense though. Why live in New York? It's so expensive. It just makes no sense to live here.
I just had somebody DM me yesterday on Instagram being like, why are you and Joe still living in New York? There's really no purpose right now. And I was like,
Who sent this to you?
Some random follower. I must have had like a back and forth with him previously, but I didn't get offended. But I was like, yeah, you're bringing up really good points. I don't know why, but I find that moving away is also just as expensive and annoying. And then if we'll probably have to move back, so it's like, what's the point?
That's the thing. If you eventually are going to have to come back, it makes no sense to move, live somewhere for a little bit, and then come back.
Yeah.
Like if they were officially canceling comedy forever.
Yeah.
I think I might still live in the Bronx. Like, I've lived here my whole life. I have nowhere to go back to.
Yeah. I don't know where I like it down here in Texas, but I don't think Joe would move down here. So I'd probably end up somewhere in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts is nice. The Berkshires is beautiful.
I know. I just don't want to get that accent.
I don't think you're going to get it. You're 40. You can't. If you pick up an accent in your 40s, you're an awful person. That means you have no backbone for anything.
I just know that whenever I'm around, it's so much fun to talk like that.
I watched a movie that was based in Boston, or what's it called? Mystic River.
Oh, yeah.
And like the Boston accent is probably my favorite accent. It's so awful, but it is my favorite.
I know somebody was bringing up my sister had a good point. They were shitting on the Southern accent, and she's like, yeah, but you never hear really Northeastern accents used to promote products.
That's true.
It's always, at least Southern accents get used more to,
well, for the Southern accents too. I think it's a lot more states than, like, Boston accent is just Boston. It's like one place.
Well, yeah, you could just do Southern and everybody just thinks you're somewhere along the Bible Belt and even like all the way to Texas.
Yeah. Did you have fun driving down there?
Going from New York to North Carolina was pretty, but once we hit Atlanta and left Atlanta, it's pretty much looks the same. It's all freeways with like truck stops, and then maybe like a shopping center with all your usual suspects.
Did you see any truckers blow other truckers?
No, I wish it was that titillating. I
feel like that's what you do if you're like a trucker on the road. You have a wife and family, but you see them like 2-3 times a year, and then you're just on the road blowing dudes.
Well, I think I've read this book, and it's based on like certain lifestyles, and it was about truckers and prostitutes making money. And I think if you go to those truck stops where those trucks park in a parking lot overnight, you can just knock on their door and ask if you want to blow them for money. It's like going to door to door.
The Three's Company song just came in my head. Take a knock on our door.
Take a step.
I've been waiting for you.
Good. I used to love that show.
Me too. Did you like Mr. Hurley?
I love Mr. Hurley. Yeah. And then Mr. Roper. And then Mrs. Roper, how she was always horny and she would never get laid by Mr. Roper.
It is weird when you have shows like that, like Married with Children, where the wife always wants to bang and the husband doesn't. And you're like, okay.
Who wrote this?
I don't know. Some guy.
I know, because I'm like
some guy who's probably a guy who's probably married but gay.
Yeah. Speaking of, did you see all that stuff about, is it Lindsey Graham? It's coming out that he propositioned male sex workers.
Is that the Frasier?
No, Lindsey Graham is, I think, a senator. I'm so bad at this. He's one of like Trump's right-hand man during the Kavanaugh hearings. He was one of the guys that was for Kavanaugh.
Okay. He's been soliciting. Is it at least guys who are of age?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he makes them sign NDAs. Now they're calling him Lady G on Twitter, which I love.
That's the worst part, is that when something like that happens, you have to leave it up to Twitter to come up with your awful name.
You have no choice.
Yeah, like Lady G, I'm sure he read that and was like, why couldn't they just call me Graham Bag or something?
Or Graham Crackers.
Graham Crackers pretty good. See if you can propose that. See if you can propose Graham Cracker on Twitter and get Lady G taken off. I like Lady of the Night.
Lady of the Night's great.
It is weird if you're in that position where you're a Republican, but you're secretly gay, where you think signing a piece of paper, someone's not going to come after you. Like, an NDA is pretty much garbage. You know when people have NDAs and they break them?
Yeah, all the time now. And in fact, I think because of like the Harvey Weinstein situation, that they're becoming like, who cares? Like, you can still break them. Especially basically, if you're doing bad stuff.
Yeah, basically an NDA is just going like this.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It does nothing.
Or when you gossip and you're like, please don't tell anybody about this. And then you know that person's going to tell. But
Absolutely.
you just go, just don't say my name or where you got this information from.
I would just think if you're a Republican and you're gay, just drop out and open up a Taco Bell. Be gay, make your tacos. Why are you in this position where eventually someone's going to find out? It just brings me back to that Epstein thing where, like, Epstein just thought he was never going to get caught.
I know. I mean, I guess you can have a good 20-year run. That's a pretty long time.
I would think. I don't know how he didn't get caught, like, in a week.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think he ever thought, like, this is the kid that's going to screw me? Like, yeah. I would think a week in, I would be like, every time I saw somebody, I would think they know that I was inviting kids over to give me massages.
Well, that's like, I remember stealing as a kid at Claire's Boutique and just being like,
Everyone one time knows.
My friend was like, let's go back. And then I was like, and then that was the time we got caught. Like, anytime you go for more.
I know. How did he not realize that? Like, he basically was just fucking classes of kids in high schools.
Yeah.
I don't know how he didn't think they were all talking.
I know, because high school girls gossip a lot.
Absolutely. And like you said, I used to have this store that me and my friends would steal from. I think it was it's like a Hallmark store, I guess, but they had like, we stole during like the troll era. When they had those trolls with that frizzy hair, that's when we were stealing, around that time.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever got caught, but we stole a lot of trolls.
I got caught once, and then I've been with my friends that got caught several times, but fortunately I wasn't part of it, but I was there when it happened.
I'd say the most expensive thing I stole, I helped my friend steal a bunch of bathing suits from Lord & Taylor. That was probably like 17 or 18.
Yeah.
The problem is when you don't get caught, you're like, this is so easy. Also, with all of the rioting and looting that's going on, I'm surprised that doesn't happen all the time. Like, you're just like, we just broke the windows and stole all the stuff and nothing happened.
I think before this, not for political reasons, every now and then, like one of those REI stores somewhere, if you get enough people to go in and it's organized, it was all these people running in and grabbing as much stuff as they could and then running out. And there's no way of stopping that. And I remember that was happening at a few stores. but they were grabbing like Patagonia jackets as much as they can. I mean, part of you're like, that looks like a lot of fun.
It's also a weird REI store because that just to me screams of like white privilege.
I know, but I think a lot of people like the Patagonia
jackets
and the North Face jackets.
That makes sense. But yeah, I guess people aren't doing it normally because when there's not all of the protests and riots and stuff, the cops probably would come quicker. But you realize people are just stealing tons of shit in stores.
Yeah.
And then we could be doing it all the time.
There should be a game show and then it's like sponsors, advertisers, and that way it's free. It used to be supermarket sweepstakes and you'd have to run through the grocery store. They should just call that, Patagonia or REI sweepstakes, and you get to run in there and take as much as you can and try to hit your, you have to steal $10,000 worth of stuff.
Whoever gets the most stuff wins.
Yeah.
And then the other people who lose have to go steal the stuff back from the person who won.
Yeah. That sounds like a fun game show to me. Yeah,
but even I took a drive the other day and I seen there was this Bay Plaza's in the Bronx, and I heard they had a bunch of stores, and then when I was driving on the highway, I saw that was boarded up, the movie theater. So you're like, what are you taking from a movie theater?
I don't know. I guess they don't want their windows broken because that's expensive to pay for it. That's what it sounded like when Bennington was talking to us, that all of Manhattan, all those stores are like not going to mess around with it and just board it up like there's a hurricane about to hit New York City.
Then there were some stores who boarded up and they put the plywood on the wrong side. And you're like, well, nice try, but your store is getting smashed in.
Why would you do that? You're supposed to put it on the outside, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I took a ride by my mom's because they were saying a bunch of stores got hit, and a bunch of the places there are all boarded up.
Yeah. It's weird.
It's weird because there's a window place that's also boarded up where you're like, you guys have windows. That's what you do. This is a great way to advertise if your windows got broken into.
So you can show people how fast you can put them up.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's really funny to be a window store during a riot.
Yeah. It's funny too because I have this thing called Citizens app, and it lets you know what's going on in your neighborhood, and something random will happen where I guess it was something that was not even related to the riots and stuff, and then people are just fighting on there. It's such a weird thing to be threatening someone on like a Citizens app.
I know, that's like, you'll start seeing like offshoots on stuff, like fights that end up starting to have nothing to do with what's going on. I
think it was like a guy that got into I think there was a fire. Somebody's car was on fire, and it was clearly not from the riot. I think their car overheated.
Yeah.
And then you just slowly see people becoming racist on it, and people are threatening to fight on Citizens app, and you're like, this is kind of interesting. I'll go watch a fight.
Yeah. Well, it online it feels like it's just one big barroom brawl. Like people are just getting chairs thrown at them, bottles in their faces, and it's just like chaos. Like, did you see that list of racist comics going on Facebook?
Yeah, so Facebook right now, what I find that I'm doing is I'm just finding threads that have like 400 comments, and like it's my like assigned reading for the day.
Yeah.
It's harder because that list of racist comics, I don't really know many of the people on it. No. I know like 5 people. I think it's a bunch of new comics. I know Luis Gomez was upset he didn't make the list.
Yes. I was surprised that Gina Bisconte didn't make it.
How did Gina not make it? I don't even think he's racist, but based on the things he says, I would think he would make the list.
Yeah.
Aaron Burr was on it. I'm surprised Gina didn't make it.
Anyone on the they probably don't know about Gino Bisconte. Another one I was surprised about is Frank Terranova.
Frank's so funny.
I know, but
yeah, I'm surprised he didn't make the list also.
I'll reach out to him and see if he was upset.
I'm sure he would be upset. What I liked is that Kevin Brennan was on the list, and I was going through the comments, and he was like, "It's nice to get nominated, thank you," which I thought was really funny. It's nice to be nominated.
Luis Gomez posted on Twitter, he's like, that list is the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. Like the idea of, you know how like industry would be like top 20 comics to follow, right? You need to be following, like if they just put a blurb of their specialty of what kind of racism they're into with their headshot would be so fucking funny to me.
Well, then apparently, I think if you contact the guy who wrote the list, you can grovel to get off of the list. That's what I've heard.
That's so funny.
It's mostly a list of open micers. I tried going into it and then reading some of it, but it's like people I don't know, so it's not as interesting to me.
Yeah, there's that Julius Dornat guy that booked us at Dangerfields for about 2 months. And then
he's on there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awful though.
Yeah. Well, we always joke that he fit his quota, and then once he finished his quota, we were done.
Yeah, I think he booked like, and he would even say to me, "There's just no funny women," and then he would just book you once, and then you're off of it.
Yeah. Awful.
Yeah, but he also moved over to Broadway Comedy Club. I know some people are like, "What are they talking about right now?" If you go on Facebook, there's a few. You know what else was really great? I don't know if I'd be able to do it right now. So there's a couple of fights among the girls I went to high school with. And a girl posted something, and it's the most fun thing to read.
This is on your Facebook?
Like, if I go out of here, will you be able to still see me or no?
No, anytime that you go and try to text, I think, I can hear you, but it'll block out. It'll just say your name on the screen.
Is that okay? Do you want me to do it? First of all, I read that and it was so funny. This girl said something about all the rioting and looting. And then people, I guess, called her out on it because she called people animals. But she didn't say anything about race. She's also Hispanic. But like people got upset with her, I guess. So then she just writes back another Facebook post just talking about them. And it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
I can probably share it on my screen if you give me your name in the chat part.
I don't want to give anyone her name. I just wanted to read it because I thought it was so fun.
Okay, because I was gonna say if you just type it out, no one will see it, and then I can look it. But then if I share it, it's gonna be.
Wait, let me just read it because it's so fun.
Yeah, please read it because I love a good Facebook thread. I actually feel like there should be a coffee table book about really funny Facebook threads.
She's hilarious. There's so many good ones where it's like, let me read this. It's so funny.
Okay.
Oh, I hope she didn't take them down.
Well, and while you're doing this would be a really great time that I'm, guys, take a moment to check out our latest sponsor, Fart Mouth. Here's their commercial.
Okay, here we go. This is the first one.
Okay, great.
Okay. I don't know why some of you ladies haven't deleted yourself from my page. And when I say some, I mean SCA sisters who seem to have a lot to say about me in the next bitch's page. Why? You managed to keep your nosy, non-speaking up asses on my page for what reason? I don't need any fake bitch on here. I would tag who I'm speaking about, but I will give you the chance to just delete yourself since clearly my post yesterday left you nauseous. With your mouth open, and well, you know the rest. And for the Facebook gangster that said I was the most ignorant out of all the SCA bitches, sisters, please, bitch, you stay talking about dick, your fake-ass designer brands, and everything in between. Your ass is ignorant, and you're a fake bitch, just like your bags.
Why is she mad? What is she mad about? Some fake-ass sisters?
I guess.
What was her original post?
The original post was talking about places getting looted and calling everyone that looted animals.
Okay. Gotcha.
And people got upset about that. And she never brought up race or anything, but people got really mad. Yeah. And then she goes on again.
to the next fan that lied and said you deleted me years ago because of the appalling things I used to say, bitch, that's true, the appalling part. However, you are a liar because your trolling ass is still on my page. How about you make that statement true and delete yourself, because I'm sure you're busy at said you're raising two biracial boys. You don't need racist me hanging around your newsfeed, stinking it up with my appalling content. And just a thought before you dumb dicks delete yourself, you clearly can't read. I never said anything about race. Never ever did I say that.
Wild. Hey, we've got Gina Brillon here. Should I admit her? I'll admit her, and then we'll just do we'll just do this as one, and then on Monday you and I will be back. Guys, Gina Brillon, she's coming on. Hey.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. My dumb ass thought it was at 2.
Don't worry about it.
We got it confused. At first we said 1, then we sent it for 2. So I'm
sorry.
Sorry.
I was like, oh shit, I'm here trying to get ready for 2:00, and then I just saw your message now too. So I was like, oh fuck.
No worries. I figure it might have messed you up, confusing you at times.
Oh, child, everything confuses me. My pregnancy brain is retarded. I can't.
Well, I was like, man, maybe she had the baby.
How far along are you?
We were really late, and she had the baby already.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, that would have been cool if you were on the podcast and just gave birth.
Yeah, right. Guys, I can't do the podcast because my water just broke. I'm on my way to the hospital right now.
I would use that every time to get out of stuff.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
like your water broke all the time.
Your water broke like 7 times this week.
I just have a lot of water.
How far?
So sorry. So thank you so much for still letting me.
Oh, no worries. I thought you had the baby.
No, I'm close though.
When do you do?
I'm like a couple weeks away from D-Day.
God, what a crazy time to have a kid right now. I mean,
insane.
Are you nervous? Or are you going to do it at home birth?
Hell no, girl. I want a hospital. I want all the drugs. I am not.
I would say drug me up.
Yeah. I'm like, give me all the epidural. What else you got?
And even when I had the baby, I'd be like, can you drug the baby also? I want to kind of sleep for a bit.
Yeah.
You guys have any baby Benadryl or just some weed? Just throw him an edible. He'll be fine. You guys got some so he stops crying.
So how is should we announce who our guest is? The lovely Gina Brillon. And she just put out her second special on Amazon. I'm going to watch it this weekend. I haven't had a chance yet, but I'm excited to see it.
Thank you. You know what? I forgot that it's my second special because somebody else had said that. And I'm like, I have another special on Amazon because they just added the first special I ever did to Amazon. So,
did they really?
Yeah, they just added it. And so within the recent, last month maybe. And so I was, I'm not used to saying that. I was like, yeah, it is my second Amazon special.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think
really cool.
People probably, when they put your name in, will see the other one also.
Yeah, I'm really glad that they actually put the old special up there because for a long time, it really had no place to live. It was like my first special, specifically speaking, was on YouTube and you could watch it there if you rented it or on iTunes if you rented it. But now with it on Amazon, I feel like more people will be exposed to it. And then for this special, I mean, I was doing it with Amazon already, but I love the way it came out. Like everything creatively, from the look, from the style. I handpicked my team, and I was so happy with everything.
I can't wait to watch it.
I saw a trailer of it, and it looked amazing.
Oh, I was so, thank you. I was so happy with the lighting team, from everybody from Amazon, everybody from Comedy Dynamics was so open to letting me have a lot of creative control for the look of the special.
That's great. Did you tape it at Levity?
No, I taped at El Museo del Barrio, which is it's between 113th and 114th. I want to say in 5th Avenue, maybe. But it's a beautiful theater, beautifully renovated theater that I fell in love with when we went to see the space. And it's a museum that, basically displays Puerto Rican art. And so it was culturally relevant for me.
Yeah.
There. And the theater was just so beautiful. As soon as I walked in, I was like, oh, I love this place.
That's awesome. You take the first one at Levity, right? Maybe that's
I
where
did.
okay, maybe
The
that's why
very
I thought
first
about
one was at Levity. And man, that was a crazy. I still remember being so nervous for that first special. Like once it was over, like I walked off stage and I was like, oh my God, it's done.
Were you
that
nervous?
that
Were you
dress,
nervous
like,
for the
over
second?
top.
Was I nervous for this one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was more, we had two shows. So the first show, if people came to the first show, I felt like I was really rushed because I was so nervous because it was the first show. And I was, backstage, you just nitpick at everything. Even though everybody was like, oh, that was great. I was like, no, I missed this bit. I should have done that.
Yeah.
I didn't take my time. I didn't pause enough. And I was just like so in my head. And then the second show came and the audience was so unbelievably good.
Yeah.
Almost the second show for anything is so much better. I don't know if it's just they're looser. It's usually later.
Yeah.
But almost the second show for anything is better. I don't know why.
I don't know either. I don't know if it's just because you get in the groove of it and you're just like a little more confident because you've been through it one time before.
Maybe.
Or that the audience is just ready for a show. But I've experienced that too, where it's like the second show is always like, damn, that was a good show. Even if the first one is really great,
Yeah.
the second one is usually amazing.
It's just looser for some reason. I don't know if it's later and the people that are coming to the later ones are just like there to have a good time. I don't know, but the second one for any taping is almost always better.
Oh, I mean, it was incredible. Like I walked out and they were already standing up. Like all of them were already on their feet. And I was like, oh, this is crazy energy. And then like the whole show was like that. They were just such great energy. And I had people, I love when I look in the audience and I recognize my people.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I went to high school with you. Oh, those people, I know those people.
I hate seeing anyone I know in the audience. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
It's the
Depends
worst.
on who it is. If it was my family, I'd probably be like, I purposely asked them to sit my family further back.
That makes sense.
I was like, I don't, because one, they're Puerto Rican. I know they're going to shout and scream. And I don't need to tell them off. Just be like, shh. So
what's
stick
funny
my cousins in the back.
Me and Gina, do you remember how we met?
Last Comic Standing auditions. And do you
like?
remember the stalker guy?
Oh, yes.
That was in your car.
Wait, is that the guy that became your stalker after?
Yes.
Some white dude, right?
Yes, a white dude named Doug, no last name, sorry, never bothered to learn it. After
what
that
year
moment,
was that?
Oh my God, I don't remember. But
it had to be about I started comedy in 2004, so it had to be about 2005 or 6, because I was very new into comedy.
Yeah.
And they were doing Last Comic Standing auditions at Caroline's.
And we all slept outside, and Adrienne was nice enough to let us sleep in her car.
It was freezing out. What was it, like February or March?
Those standing in line auditions were awful.
It was so bad. And I remember we parked my car right by Caroline's, and most of us stayed there was a couple of us in there, like, I think it was me, Gina, that guy Doug, I guess, was there, and then my boyfriend at the time. There was like 4 or 5 of us in the car.
Yeah, it was 3 of us in the back and you guys up front. Like the two, you and your boyfriend were up front. Your boyfriend at the time.
We stayed up all night. I did a terrible job at the audition, where I was like, this was so not worth it.
Oh, I did so badly.
Didn't you go on to the next round? I thought you did. I literally bombed the audition. I was like, this is such a waste.
Do y'all remember your judges?
I don't know if I don't think we even got those judges, because this is when you're like, the people that wait online are treated like garbage.
I think this was the one where they had the producers still sitting there, and it wasn't the judges. So it wasn't like, because they did that for a while. I remember the very first one I did for Last Comic was at the comic strip. And
was that before Caroline's?
Yeah. And they tried to bait you all the time. Like they were trying to bait me to get me angry on camera. So it was at that point that might have been after Caroline's, because they tried to get me angry on camera so they could use that clip.
Yeah.
And
they make you do this.
Work.
They make you do the stupidest shit on the B-rolls that you want to just be like, I don't want to do any of it.
Yeah.
They'll make you like keep behind flowers or like walk down the street in a weird way where you're just like, nobody does this. Just get me on my phone. Or at that time we didn't have smartphones, but like, I don't know.
No, but it was weird because it's like, it was fun. I'm glad that I did it, but what a waste of time. Like as a 2-year comic, I don't know what I thought was going to happen. Like even if I made it, I probably had 10 minutes of material? If that, like 2 years in, how much of your material is even good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point because I think that's also the people they were targeting, which kind of made it messed up that they were targeting comics that were that new.
Yeah.
And it's like, that they lack a lot of the knowledge and a lot of the experience that you're going to need to be successful in this, but you're targeting those people. You're saying all are welcome and you're not giving people guidelines. Like when I did the HBO contest, there were people that hit me up and I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. If you don't have 30 minutes of material yet, you shouldn't be doing this contest.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I think you're so new. You're just like looking for any opportunity.
And that's the good thing. Like you don't just cancel it out.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people would not have gotten that opportunity. I mean, you look at who won first year. Dat Fan won first year against Voss and all these other people.
Corey
And you're like,
what was that stalker guy? Because I do remember you meeting that guy in my car.
Such a crazy story. So we're in your car. I wake up. He's asleep on my shoulder. I'm like, all right, that's weird. But we're all cramped in a car, so I don't care. And I think the next week or the week after was like my birthday, and I was doing a show at the comic strip.
This I remember.
Yes, and he showed up at my birthday show completely unannounced. I had no idea he was going to be there. I think I had posted something on my
I think you guys were Facebook friends or something.
Yeah.
Right?
It was either the beginnings of Facebook or literally MySpace at this point. Like what time was it? Was that like MySpace time or Facebook time?
It might have been because I think it was MySpace time.
I think it was MySpace time.
He found out about the show. He showed up, and I get off stage after my set, and the waitress pulls me over, and she's like, "There's some guy pacing in the corridor, asking about you," and I'm like, "Who?" Like, and at the time I was dating somebody, so I'm like who's pacing and asking about me? And she's like, I don't know, but he's really weird. He keeps asking about you. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll wait at the bar, I guess, so I can get him out of your hair. Like, just send him over to me at the bar. So of course it's Doug. It's this guy, and I go, oh, well, hey, Doug, what's up? And
but like, he lived in like Georgia or something, right?
It was something nuts like that. Like he lived far away. He should not have been there.
Yeah.
No.
And I was like, okay, hey, what's up? Guy that I vaguely remember from the audition. And he has a card in his hand. And he gives me this card and he's like, it's so crazy because like, I didn't even know it was your birthday, but I got you a birthday card. And I'm like, all right. So I take the birthday card. I'm like, thanks so much, man. And he just looks at me like, are you going to read it now? Like, so I open the card and I read it and it's just a general card, whatever. He probably wrote some long monologue in it that I didn't bother to read. And I was just like, okay, thanks, cool. I'm going to go back inside. And he's like, wait, I have something to tell you. And so we're sitting at the bar at the comic strip and he's nervous. So he's like rocking back and forth.
That's like a good giveaway. Someone's not stable.
Yeah. Someone's not okay. And he's like, he just blurts it out. He's like, I'm in love with you. And I looked at him and I went, no, you're not. I was like, you are not in love with me. That is an impossibility. That is not going to happen. And at that point, like I'm talking with him and it's clear that I'm freaked out. My buddy Stuart, my English buddy Stuart, he's passed away now, but like at the time he had come to the show. He loved comedy and he sees me in this awkward moment at the bar. And Stu walks over and knowing at this point, I didn't smoke, drink, nothing. And he comes up to me, he's like, hey, Gina, do you want to have a cigarette? And I'm like, absolutely. Be right back. And I like walked outside and I was like, thank you so much. I would have shot heroin in my eyeball to get out of that conversation.
Did that guy leave?
He left. He saw me leave with Stuart. Not 5 seconds after I walk out the door with Stuart, he walks out and he's clearly visibly upset. And And he's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna leave. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, thanks for coming.
Did he drive there? Like, what a ordeal.
It was
Ugh.
nuts. And then I didn't see him. I think like a couple weeks later, I got a long ass MySpace message from him that was just filled with anger. That was like, I came to pour my heart out and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. I didn't even respond. I was like, I don't know what do I say to this guy? Like,
but didn't he kind of stalk you for a bit?
I mean, if he did, I wasn't really aware of it. I just kind of went about my business. He never hit me up again. There was another guy. I've only had like really 2 crazy stalker experiences, but I'm a pretty ballsy broad. So
I know. I feel like I would have hung out with him for 4 hours at the bar because I would have felt so bad that I would have been.
you'd been like, oh my God, you drove
I
all
know.
this way.
Yeah, I would have been like, I should at least date you for a couple of years. That's what I would have done. I've been like, it only seems fair that if you love me,
I have a really quick get out of my face, you're creeping me out way about me. And
Yeah.
there was only one other time where it got weird with somebody else. These things happen at the comic strip. It got weird at the comic strip. I won't say who, I won't say what happened.
Ooh, that means it's a comic.
But it got weird enough that I had to have Jay Okerson's ex-girlfriend Carla, she was a lawyer, and I called her one day because it got so bad. The situation got so bad, and she had to call the guy up and be like, I will help her file to get a restraining order against you if you do not back off. Because it was just one of those things where like the guy faked an argument with me over the phone because he was in front of a booker. And so because he was in front of a booker, he was trying to make me look like the bad guy, and I could tell he was in front of somebody. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see how this is going. You're trying to get me banned from the strip right now.
Yeah.
And so I didn't play along, and I didn't get angry at him.
Doing that? Because he liked you and you wouldn't date him?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Was it because he liked you and you wouldn't date him or something?
Essentially, yeah. Like, he liked me, and there was nothing wrong with him. He was a good enough dude, and like, we had lightly flirted whenever I was drunk. Like, we would flirt, and then like at the time when he wanted to get with me or wanted us to hook up, like I was like, well, I'm already kind of seeing somebody, and I kind of like this guy a lot. Like, it wasn't serious, like we were casually dating each other, but I was like, I really like this guy. I want to give it a try with this guy. And he just could not take it. He just could not take it. It was like,
is he still doing comedy?
Yes.
That means not really.
Like, yes, but like, one of those people that just gets the job done, where you're like, you get the job done.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like, you get laughs, you get the job done, but there's nothing about you that I'm like, oh my God, this person's a genius, or I wish I wrote like that. Like, which there are very few comics that are like that, but still, like, I would say the guy's a good comic in that he gets the job done.
Yeah.
Whether he's still good, I don't know. I haven't seen him in years, so I don't even know if he's even still doing comedy, to be honest with you.
So interesting. Like,
I know.
I'm still amazed by that guy Doug, who just like drove up from like North Carolina or Georgia.
Yeah, Doug didn't care. Doug was probably the love of my life, and I let him walk away.
Well,
and he tried very hard. He drove up to see you. He fell in love that night at the last Comic Standing auditions.
I remember telling somebody that story with a guy friend of mine, and he was like, you just told him he didn't love you. You don't get to make that call. Like, I'm just like,
I think you're right, though.
Yeah.
Like, who doesn't love?
I'm like, I don't think you do, sir. I think you're very lonely.
What happened in the car?
It was nothing. Like, we literally just both fell asleep. I think what I think it was one of those people, and there's a lot of these people in comedy in general, whether they're comedy fans or comedians themselves, that they've experienced a lot of trauma and they don't get a lot of kindness. So when you're kind to them, it sends the wrong signal. It's like, no, I was just being nice to you. I'm just not a crap person. And I was nice to you. And now you misread that.
Yeah.
Do you think that guy killed himself?
Dude, I don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know, because I don't remember his name. I can't search for him. I can't find him. I wouldn't, but like, I don't I don't know. I don't know if he just kind of disappeared.
I want to think that you got somebody to stop doing comedy, and that's the nicest thing you could do for someone.
I know. You're a charitable
welcome,
person.
world.
I wish I fell in love with someone in that car that night, and then they told me off, and I just quit comedy.
And then you just disappeared off the face of the earth. You're
I just went about my life. I got like a regular job, and right now I have like 2 or 3 kids, and I'm just not chasing. Yeah, I'm just not chasing comedy. Like, you might have done that guy the biggest service ever.
Yeah, I think. I was thinking that the other day. I'm so late with binge watching shows. That's what this has been great for. I've been binge watching Dexter, and there was a scene in Dexter where he comes across like an older serial killer that was his idol, and the guy lives a really pathetic life right now. And when Dexter goes to kill him, he basically tells Dexter, like, this is what your life is going to be. And I thought, I wonder if it's like that for comics.
Probably.
Like, you're like, this is what your life is going to be. You're going to be the funniest person at the old folks home. Or maybe just the darkest person at the old folks home.
I tell my therapist that I was always going to quit and become like the funny medical assistant. And he was like, do it. My therapist was like, just do it.
If you're going to do it. I told my therapist that I was going to quit and move to, I told him my escape plan is I'm going to quit and I'm going to move to some place in the woods and get a job at a general store and never talk about comedy and like change my name and just, I said, that's when I finally snap and I lose it. I'm like, that's my exit strategy.
Oh yeah.
It's so weird because you can still do so much stuff in comedy and you still think of quitting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. All the time. Because it doesn't get any easier. The more stuff you do, it's like, then you have to keep up that same amount of work. Like,
and the disappointment's almost bigger.
Well, yeah, because you're shooting bigger. You're shooting bigger, so the disappointment's bigger, and it gets harder and harder. And just because, people view success so differently. Like the way that we ourselves as performers would view success versus the way people in the audience would view success, people in our lives would view success. Like, for them, they see you on TV and they're like, she must be making $1 million every time she shows up someplace. And it's like, no, still can't pay my rent.
Yeah.
It's funny. I got into a fight with somebody on Instagram, I think, and the guy was like, well, I'm going to sue you and take all your Netflix money. And I was like, oh God, you don't even know how much I made. What you think I made? It's like, I almost wanted to stop the fight to be like, how much do you think I made? That's all spent. Just
real quick.
All of it's spent, and it wasn't that much.
Yeah.
But people, I think, because they just assume if you do something like even when we did a late night set, you get like $1,200.
Yeah, it's like
it's
you
not
realize
a lot of money.
That's maybe 1 month's rent.
Yeah, and most of it you're like, I gotta get a dress. I want my hair to look nice. You sometimes now, like, Corden doesn't put you up. So if you don't have a friend, you have to pay for your own hotel. So you're really just breaking even with all this stuff.
Exactly. People don't realize the expenses. Yeah.
Because you're not paying for your flight either. No flight, no hotel, pay for your own outfit. I don't know if they pick you up in a car or not, but it's like, you're lucky if you break even. Sometimes I think you're just doing stuff at a deficit.
Yeah, I've done TV stuff just because I needed the credit, not because of the money, where I'm like, no, I'm going to say yes to this, even though the money is trash and they're not really going to take care of me. And I got to do my own hair and makeup. Like when they say show up camera ready, I'm like, oh, it's that kind of budget. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's no budget, or there's no budget for you. Like everyone else looks fine on the set. You're like, what's going on with me? But I had to hire someone to do my hair so I don't look like an idiot.
Yeah, because that's actually a really serious thing for like female performers. I've done a lot of stuff where it's like when they say there's no hair and makeup and you're just like, are you serious, bro? Like, for guys, maybe that's one thing because maybe they get a little bit of powder and they can go on, but it's like, dude, I gotta do my hair, I gotta do my makeup. I'm not trying to look like Morticia Adams up there, and like I look pale as crap without makeup on, and so I'm like,
everyone does though.
Yeah, and so it's such a pain in the butt when they're like, just come camera ready. I'm like, okay, cool, because I have a makeup artist on call.
I think you're having a baby at the perfect time though.
You know what? I kind of feel like first of all, I'm a workaholic, so like I had work planned up until my 30th week of pregnancy. So
Jeez.
I would have been traveling and working up until 2 weeks ago, essentially. And so I looked at it and I was like, you know what? This is my first kid. I'm already nervous. I'm already scared. At least now I have time to educate myself on the whole process, as opposed to doing it while I'm on the road. I can sit down, I can talk to more people, I can learn as much as I can so that I'm not as petrified when D-Day comes. Because
Yeah.
the one thing about having a kid that always, my one deterrent, I love kids, was the pain of childbirth. It always scared the shit out of me. So I was like, I don't want to have a kid ever. I don't want to do that. That looks incredibly painful. Everything else seems amazing. So I was like, I
Yeah.
love kids. I think they're dope, but actually having a kid. So that's been my biggest thing to get over is, and I'm doing all the bougie hipster, let's watch stuff on hypnobirthing. Let's watch stuff on
I don't even
meditation.
know what any of that stuff is.
Yeah.
Have you
keep it
ever
calm.
watched a natural childbirth on YouTube? I saw this lady
Girl,
give birth
yes.
in the woods, and it was the most wildest thing I've ever seen.
Girl, yes. I've watched
was-
several birthing videos.
I was there at my sister's when she gave birth, and it's nuts. First of all, they pull the head out, and the head's like this long.
Yeah, because of how it has to go through the birth canal and
The
everything.
baby comes out blue. Like, I thought when the baby came out, it was dead. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be here when they tell her this baby's dead.
Yeah, because it freaks you out. Like the videos I've
It
watched.
freaks you out. You don't know that. And then
Oh
you
my
see
God.
everybody's like running to the baby to make it not be dead. And you're like, I got to get out of here. This is not going to be fun. And then the baby's fine.
Then you hear the baby crying and you're like, what the hell?
But
Yeah.
the head is like,
the head is
like this big. It's crazy.
It looks like a cone head because of how they tell you that in like the birthing videos. They're like don't be freaked out because the baby has to get through your cervix and it has to open up and has to be squeezed through and pushed through. Essentially, their head's gonna be bigger when they're born because of the trauma of birth. I just think they look gross when they come out anyway. Like I'm just like I have never seen a baby that just was born and gone, oh, I'm always like,
unless it's a C-section.
Yeah.
C-section babies are really cute.
Well, the cool thing about a C-section, to watch it, I was considering getting one done because I was so scared of childbirth, but the recovery time is too long and I'm not that patient. So the cool thing about like a C-section though was when they pull the baby out, the baby's like fully in the sack. You get to see like the whole thing that was inside you, and they have to pop that thing, and you're just, see, that's how I'm like fascinated by it. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then they have to pop it and like pull them out, and I'm like, oh my God, that's nuts that was inside a person. Like that's the craziest thing.
Well, I heard that they put like a sheet up, I think, and they just kind of take everything out of you like they're working on an engine.
Pretty much, they have to move shit and they have to like pull. They have to make way for the baby. Like when you're pregnant, this is one of the fascinating things. I've been fascinated by this pregnancy since I found out I was pregnant, only because of the biological facts and the changes in your body. I feel like it's a science experiment. Like it's nuts. Everything changes. Your organs literally shift and move to make room for the baby. So everything gets pushed up. It's like a lot of women, even if they don't get that big for their pregnancy, they'll still have a belly that sticks out because all of their organs are being pushed up to make room for it. So that's nuts to me. I'm like, I can't get over the fact that my body literally just morphs into this baby holding thing.
Yeah.
And everything becomes about making room for this kid. Your body naturally does that shit. And it fascinates me.
It's like sometimes when you see like a dissection of the body, and I saw this on YouTube recently, and you see where all the organs are, you're just like, everything looks smaller, and then you're like, it's all jam-packed in there tightly, that you're just like, where do you put a baby in there?
Yeah. A baby literally goes right on top of all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it just sits there. Like I'm at the point now in the pregnancy where when he moves, I can see my stomach moving.
Does it freak you out?
It freaks me out every time, but it's also so incredibly cool because it's like, ew, gross, look at that. Like it's just, it's so weird. And some women are like, that's the best part. And I'm like, no, it's freaky and gross. I don't think you want to admit it, but it's freaky and gross to see your stomach move because something alive is in there.
Now, when you're by yourself, do you talk to the baby and tell him bad stuff about his dad so the baby will like you more? That's what I would do. In the shower and stuff, I'd be like, your father.
When I'm mad, when I'm mad, I'm like, yeah, your dad's like that, so you're gonna have to get used to it. Like, I'll just be like, yeah, he does that. But naturally, apparently, everything I've been reading is like naturally when you have the baby, for at least the first couple of months until they decide who's their favorite in the moment, the baby is naturally closer to the mom because he or she's gonna recognize your voice. They say to hold the baby immediately when you give birth because just the feeling of being against your body as the mom will calm the baby down in the delivery room.
And you want to be the favorite.
Yes.
Yes and no. One of my brother has 2 kids and he was like, you don't want to be the favorite.
Really?
And then you're the one they go to when they're sick and they throw up on you and you have to take care of them no matter what the problem is because you're the favorite parent.
Ooh, like, don't be the favorite.
Yeah.
I just changed my mind just like that.
Yeah. It's like you think you want to be the favorite, but then every problem comes to you first.
So now your husband also travels too for work, right? He's a musician?
Yeah, he does.
What are you guys going to do when you're both traveling?
Well, that's the thing. We sort of talked about that and I'm like, for me personally, I have no problem being like, I got to bring the baby with me, which means I got to bring a third person with me, which means I just have to be aware of that. Like if I'm going away, like if I were going to do something like Montreal, like Jessica Kirsten bought her daughter when she was a baby there and she bought her partner as well to help her. And that's kind of how it was like, he was like, well, if you ever have to do something like that, I'll just come with you. I'll clear my schedule.
Oh, that's great.
And yeah, he's like the most supportive human being in terms of my career and like still cares about his career, still does his work. But like when it comes to stuff like that, like he wants to be a part of it. Like he came to Montreal one year that I was there and it was the best time. It was just the best time. Like I had somebody to hang out with and it was like, we're both kind of homebodies. So he didn't mind if I wanted to stay in the hotel for the majority of the day.
Yeah.
And I like that. And so I would also like to bring the baby to different places so that he experiences different places.
Yeah.
I don't want him to just be at home with a babysitter or stuck with a nanny of some kind. Like I want him to come with me and experience that part of my life.
Would you get a nanny? Would you ever consider that or no?
I would if I needed to, but it would have to be somebody I felt like 100% comfortable with. It's my first kid, so I assume I'm going to be like really crazy about who watches him. If I've gotten down the particulars of how I take care of him, like, all right, well, I want this person to take care of him.
Just get a comic who wants to really do comedy bit and make them your intern and make them just watch the kid all the time.
I'm like, you want to babysit? I'll give you 5 minutes of stage time somewhere.
Yeah, in the middle of your set, you're like, I'm just going to bring this person up for 5 minutes.
While they hand me my baby who's been in the back this whole time. I would love to bring him to comedy. I want him to meet all my comic friends. Like I want to do like a tour of the comedy clubs in the city with the baby and just be like, meet all my friends. But after this pandemic, it's also like, do I want anybody touching my baby? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering when comedy will come back again, at least in New York City. I know it's happening in other, like I'm in Houston and they're doing shows down here.
There's some in Connecticut, I know. Apparently, Foxwoods has opened up.
Florida's doing some shows. I think Arizona has a club open.
But I
think a lot of the red states.
Yeah, well, I also think that a lot of New York clubs are so small and so tightly packed that they have to figure out a system that works for them. Like where it's like, what do we do? Do we have less tables in here? We don't want less tables. We have rent to worry about. We have bills to worry about. That's why we pack it the way we do. So I'm wondering how
is it worth it? Yeah, is it worth it for them to open at half capacity? Or is it?
Or should they wait? Because I'm like, they could open at half capacity. Places like the Cellar and Gotham and that are known clubs.
Caroline's, places that are
they would get filled. At least at half capacity, they would get filled. Because people, I feel like, are thirsty for live entertainment. They want to come out, but they're cautious. It's not going to be the same when your knees are touching the person next to you nowadays. And how comfortable are you going to be with laughing? How many people are going to wear masks to a comedy show now?
That might be a new reality.
It might, honestly.
Would you do it? Would you do a drive-in show?
I've done a couple virtual shows. Like I did like 2 virtual shows,
Yeah.
and like I did one with Liz. Liz's was great. I had so much fun doing Liz Mealy's new material, but that was more like people get to watch comics workout material and
That
see the
was fun,
process.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool one. And then I did another one. I forget the name of it, but it was also, they had an audience, and you could hear the laughter, and it was really nice, but it was still very weird. It was a weird transition because it's just like, oh, this isn't the same as being on stage, but I mean, it's all I got right now. So I don't know if I would do a drive-by comedy club. I know they're doing drive-through strip clubs now, and I'm wondering if that's going to be a new thing. There's like a
But
drive-through
girls
strip
just
club.
like stripping outside.
They're just like, it's almost like a car wash where they can drive through, and there's girls at different poles, and they have a tip thing that they extend out to your car. I think it was in Oregon or something like that. Me and my girlfriend
But
were
like,
talking
it's a
about
lap dance. They're just on your windshield, humping your window.
I don't even know how that works.
Yeah.
I would guess it'd be something like that, but I think you just tip them. Like they put out their little tip thing, and you tip them, and then they just.
I would
pole
rather
dance.
hump someone's windshield than some gross guy's leg. I'd be
Yeah.
for it.
It's nice to know there's a backup plan if this doesn't work
Yeah.
out.
Guys, if they can do drive-through strip clubs, they can do drive-through stand-up comedy clubs. So be prepared, because this may be the future of stand-up. Maybe drive-through comedy clubs.
Well, I know Bert Kreischer is going to do, I think, either a 4 or 10-city tour of drive-in comedy clubs.
Really?
Yeah, where I'm like,
He's
I'm
also
just
kind of
intrigued
high
about that.
He's also kind of a high energy comic, so it works. I feel like when you're kind of low energy and deadpan, it looks like you're just gearing up to your suicide.
Yeah.
It's just weird to be.
It does depend on the type of comic you are, though, because that format works for a specific type of comic.
Yeah, I don't know how great it would be for me to do drive-through comedy, and I'm just like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like something I would be great at. But maybe, I don't know, maybe I would adjust and start.
If you have like long stories that you tell, or if you're just like a comic that takes a lot of pauses, I think that would be really hard versus somebody who's like an Attell who's like joke after joke after joke after joke, where it's like bam, 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 bam. But if you're like a storyteller, I don't think that would work, because it's like you're gonna hold up the line because somebody's trying to listen to the end of your story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I also use audience is always like how I keep my timing down.
Yeah.
By like reading the room a little bit. How you deliver a joke is based on their reaction sometimes.
Also, like if someone starts, I guess, can people heckle you from a car? Are they just gonna scream?
I guess. I think it might be too encouraging to hecklers, because you're in a car, you can just, what am I gonna do to you? I can't jump off stage and just, all I can do is maybe throw the mic stand through a windshield or something.
I feel like it would be, I feel like it would probably change the dynamic of heckling, because everyone would just be like, I hope you get into a car accident driving home. That's all you could really say to hurt their feelings of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut your brake line before you go.
That's right.
Just so you know, I'm totally gonna cut your brake line.
Or you just make fun of maybe they're self-conscious about their car. You just make
or you just tell them you got their license. Look, I just took down your license, so I'll be seeing you later.
My brother's a cop, so I know where you live.
I will be seeing you and your family later.
That's true. You could find somebody's everything about someone by their plate.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I learned everything from Doug. Doug taught me all I need to know about stalking someone.
Oh, poor Doug. You know what? It's always really funny because girl comic groupies are never as great as guy comic groupies.
Nope. It's never the same. Like the guys, I used to make fun of the guys all the time because I'd be like, you girls just come up to you and they're like, oh my God, you were so funny. Do you want to have sex?
Yeah.
And like guys come up to us and they're like, I want to wear your hair.
Yeah. Like,
oh, your skin is so pretty, man. You're like, ugh.
Doug.
As long as he thinks as long as a guy after a show thinks you're funny, you're like, I might let you murder me. Thank you for that compliment. You made me feel so special about myself.
Did you just say what's funny? All right, come here.
The best is when guys don't think you're funny and they hit on you, and you're like, Stop.
How did you
At
think
least
this was going to turn
lie.
out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that you don't think I'm funny and then still want to know if we can hang out.
Yeah. Like,
No, thank you.
I've had guys come up to me after shows and quote a joke they didn't like that was in my set that was never in my set. Like, I had somebody come up to me and be like, oh, I didn't like that Oprah joke that you did, but everything else was cool. And I went, that wasn't my bit. That was the features bit. That wasn't mine.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. The
I feel
feature
like
is a black
I feel
man,
like
and
any
it's
joke
clearly
about-
not me.
Any joke about Oprah ends with her doing the thing where she's like, there's a what is it? There's a car for you, and look under your
Not for
seat.
you, and for you, and you get a thing.
That's
you get
every
a thing.
Oprah joke.
Yeah, I'm just like I remember. There was a time when you could not go to any alternative comedy club without hearing a joke about little people, to be politically correct, or anything. It was always a joke about abortions or little people. At every alti club, everybody felt like they needed that in their arsenal so that they could be edgy at that time. Like, it was literally like comic after comic. It was like, did you guys sit down and just decide this as a team?
Yeah.
That everybody would do these same kinds of jokes just so that you can come across as edgy? Because to me, there's always a difference between someone trying to be edgy and someone who writes edgy.
Yeah.
And you can always tell the difference.
Yeah, it always is like a Doug Stanhope wannabe or a Dave Attell wannabe. And it is right. There was a time. Yeah.
A Carlin.
Yeah.
Carlin, yeah.
But I find less and less Carlins because those people were more social commentators, because Carlin was a social commentator. I find a lot of wannabe Stanhopes, like a lot of them, to the point where it's almost like nauseating to watch them, where it's like, dude, I get who you're trying to emulate, and I wish you would just have your own voice.
Well, I feel like they're just waiting for him to die so that they can do it.
I remember barely a week after Mitch Hedberg passed, there was a guy at Caroline's at a show, literally long hair, sunglasses, on stage, essentially doing Mitch Hedberg, acting like he wasn't, like just doing his whole persona. And me and some other comics were sitting in the back, and we were just appalled.
It's crazy. Well, like, I remember, like, when comics first start off, they take a persona of a comic that they like. But eventually their voice changes to their own, but you see the influence. But I was like, oh, I didn't know we could do that.
Neither did I.
Yeah, well, we can't. We're women.
Yeah.
If we do it, it's wrong. But I remember I met a lot of guys that when they first came to the city, they all sounded like either Bill Burr or Attell. Attell, there was a ton of Attell sound-alikes, like so many.
Yeah.
And so
some Jeselniks too.
Yeah, Jeselnik,
Regan.
a lot of Jeselniks. Yeah, some Regans, but never done as well as he does it.
Yeah.
Because he does clean so good.
Yeah.
And so funny, and it's really hard.
A lot of comics do Hannibal now.
Yeah. There's just so many people for them to emulate, and I get it when you first start out, especially if you work closely with that person. Like, usually it's somebody that opened for him or like worked with that person, and you just start to sound exactly like that person.
Yeah.
And then hopefully you deviate and you find your own sound.
Yeah. But it was so hard in the beginning. And I remember being like, God, I wish I knew that you could just take someone else's voice and just do it. It would have made my life a lot easier in the beginning.
Who would you have chosen? For you?
I don't know. I've always been like a one-liner, and I probably already get this anyway right now, but it's like Wendy Liebman.
I was gonna say that's a great choice, Wendy Liebman, though. She's such a great writer.
But I also like Rita Rudner. I feel like she always gets overlooked. I was like,
she does.
Yeah.
Is that because she was driving drunk with her kids?
That was Paula Poundstone.
Oh, okay. I'm getting all these women confused.
Getting all these crazy women confused. Paula Poundstone was one of my favorites.
Yeah. You'd have to wear a zoot suit.
Yeah. You know who I think to this day, like, I'll have moments or shades of this in my set, and I'm always like, oh, because I was such a huge fan of hers, Brett Butler. I was
Oh,
such a
yeah.
huge Brett Butler fan that, like, especially when I started, I was very much emulating her when I started.
Yeah.
I
Um,
don't think I've ever seen her do stand-up.
oh man,
She's good.
her stand up was the first time I ever saw a stand up comic was Brett Butler, and it was her special. Brett Butler sold out, and I fell in love. I was like, I didn't like know anything about stand up, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna do that for the rest of my life. Like that's what I said when I saw her. I was like,
That's
that's
pretty
what I'm gonna do
cool.
for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so she stuck out in my head, and I only seen two specials and some clips here and there. She's got a great clip. I don't know if it's still online or if it's something I saw as a compilation of comics dealing with hecklers. But she was on stage somewhere and she was getting heckled, and one of her friends yells from the back of the room, "Fuck him, Brett." And she goes, "I might have to at this point." Like she was doing so bad. It
I'm gonna
was
watch her stand-up after this.
so I mean,
She was
I don't know if
good.
it's available
She had
online, but
her show
the
was good too.
yeah, was Brett Butler Sold Out was the first one I saw. I think that came out in '94, but she had an earlier one called Brett Butler The Child Ain't Right, which I think was actually her first ever special. And she was one of those ballsy women that I was lucky enough to see her, and for that to be my first experience with comedy, because she was up there talking about being in an abusive relationship. Like she was doing the stuff that nowadays like women talk about and they're looked at as edgy comics. She was doing it back then.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I remember hitting up Nick DiPaolo because I was so upset. Somebody had told me he hated female comics.
He probably
And I was
does.
so upset. And I was like, somebody told me you hated female comics. And I was so upset because I know you worked with Brett Butler and I love her. And I thought you were supportive of female comics. And he was so nice in his response. Like, I don't really know him that well. We've worked with each other very few times, but he was like, he literally said, "Who said that? So and so," and he named the exact person that said it. And
That's hilarious.
I was like, yeah. He goes, "No, I don't hate female comics. I hate unfunny people." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well that's fair." I'm
Yeah.
like, "What? That's fair. It's okay."
Me and Sarah were just talking about him. He's like jacked now. He lives in the South somewhere, and he's like just working out in a shed, getting ripped.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Just podcasting and getting ripped.
We did a show together for Armed Forces Entertainment. It was me, Nick DiPaolo, and I forget who else was on the lineup. But they made us sign a contract that said that we would be respectful of all the terms that the military set for our sets, meaning like none of this language, none of that language, no making fun of this, no making fun of that. And we all watched Nick DiPaolo sign this contract. And we looked at him and we were like, "Why are you signing that? Like, you're literally going to break all of those rules."
I bet he did.
Oh, the first thing he did was break rule number 1, which was don't mention anything about gays in the military. And it was literally the first joke that came out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And you just see the person who set up the show just running towards the stage. And I was like, uh-oh, this is going to be interesting after his set.
It's weird to know what Nick does and then hire him for a job like that and expect him to follow the rules.
That's the thing that always upset me about when people would do that to comics. It's like, you're setting this person up to be a problem. You know what they do. It's why you hired them. And now you expect them to work within these unrealistic guidelines.
Yeah.
Like, no, you should have hired comics that you knew already work within those guidelines so there'd be no issue.
Yeah. That happens a lot. And then they're mad at you and you're like, "Did you watch my tape?"
Like when the whole Michelle Wolf thing happened, when she did the Correspondence Center and like people attacked her, I was like, you do realize that she had to submit her set. Like,
yeah.
Well, people are only upset after. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're upset by how people react to it. So I think that's what really happens.
Yeah,
If
people get
everyone
upset.
was fine with it, they would have just been like, okay. Also, Flint still doesn't have clean water.
Yeah. Also, note this. Still no clean water over there.
That's crazy. Like, if all the stuff that's happening, that they still don't have clean water after everything that we've gone through, like quarantine and the protests and the riots and looting.
I mean, it says a lot about the millions of things that need to be fixed.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
They should have done that during quarantine.
Yeah.
We had so much time. Like we fixed stuff in our life. Like they should have taken the time to got clean water for Flint at least.
At least at some point, but that's the kind of stuff that's low on the totem pole for them.
Yeah.
Well, it's low on the totem pole for people who don't have money. That's the problem.
Yeah. People that don't have money in general are low on the totem pole in just everywhere.
Yep.
You know, everything you look at, even when you talk about the beginning of the pandemic, where it's like, who was really dying from this in the beginning? It was the people that didn't have money, didn't have resources,
Yeah.
that couldn't get help fast enough. And nobody really addressed that at all.
Yeah.
It's easier to make it a race issue when it really is just a class issue. Because they've just really turned poor white and black people against each other, and they should really just realize, like, we're the same. Nobody cares about either of us.
Yeah, when you're talking classism, it's like, no, it really doesn't matter. We're just in a lower class, and because we're in a lower class, we're not the people they're concerned with. We're not the people that contribute enough to the pockets of the people on top, so they don't care about us.
It's amazing how I guess politics is put poor white people in this place where they think that they care about them, but they don't. It's just so crazy to me to watch poor white people vote for Trump, and you're like, he's going against everything you guys.
Yeah, well, Chappelle had that whole.
I'm like, he cares about you guys the least.
Yeah, you're not the ones he cares about at all. Like,
no.
But the thing is, Chappelle had that great bit about, looking at them and realizing that same thing. Like, you poor white people really think he cares about you. You really believe he's fighting for you.
He's not. He doesn't care about it at all.
No, not at all. You guys could all die off. He wouldn't care. He's already lined his pockets. He's good.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Yeah. And yet you fight for him with every fiber of your being as if your voice matters to him at all.
I remember after he got elected, though, there were a lot of people, like, I guess poor people that had kind of voted for him.
Adrienne, you went dark. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, because my battery's running out.
All right, well, we can wrap this up shortly.
Yeah, I'll just say this. Like, when it was interesting to see people that had voted for him, and then right after he got elected, they were like, oh, I lost my Medicaid. I lost my welfare. And they're like, oh, yeah, he doesn't care about, you're poor. He doesn't care about you. They're like, I didn't know I was going to lose my Medicaid. It's like, well, what did you think was going to happen when he's trying to cut funds for poor people? You're in that bracket.
That's what happens when you pay attention to the rhetoric and not to the policies.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't pay attention to what he was trying to get done. You were so busy listening to this big rousing speech that he's talking to his fans, which is why he's talking to people that, like, whenever he talks, the people that are like, oh my God, I can't believe he just said that. Yeah, you're not his core audience. You're not the people he's trying to reach. I don't know if you know this. He has a very specific audience. He is talking to them so that he doesn't lose them.
What do you think will happen this next election? Do you think he'll win again?
Man, I hope not.
I'm expecting the worst.
I hope not, and I don't want to expect the worst. The reason why I hope not is because I think what I'm hoping for, between what's gone on in the pandemic and the many mistakes that he's made during one crisis after another, I think enough of his supporters are even seeing that he cannot handle the situation. Do I think it'll be close? Yeah, I think it'll be close. I can't say that I think he'll win, though, because he's done a very successful job of even pissing off people that were supporters of him. And with what's going on now in terms of Black Lives Matter and everything, and that movement itself is going to heavily impact this election that's coming up. It's going to heavily impact.
I think between the quarantine and Black Lives Matter, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Because, also more people that are pro-Trump, they're also going to be rallying to get more people to vote for him too. So it's going to be interesting. I hope enough people come out and vote for Biden, even though I don't necessarily like Biden either. I think he's just better than Trump. I think anyone at this point is better than Trump.
In another situation.
I think I'd be a better choice, and I know nothing about politics.
I think we're in another situation where it's the lesser of two evils, where it's
absolutely.
who do you want to choose? Like, we don't have a great choice right now. We really don't. So it comes down to, I mean, if he makes Michelle Obama his running mate, like if like then
Do you think
that
she would do that?
not after he was on the Breakfast Club, but
I thought it was going to be Stacey Abrams from Georgia, is the speculation will be his running mate.
yeah, because I don't think that Michelle Obama would do it. But because
Yeah,
she knows
she'd be
if
great
she
though.
did, if she
It would be
did,
great.
she would without a doubt win so many more votes just based on her co-signing everything.
Yeah.
And I
I
don't
wonder-
think she wants to do that.
I wonder if she'd want to be in the spotlight though again. Like the Obamas were under such tight scrutiny where it's like, why put your family through that again when everything they did was scrutinized so
Everything.
hard? I don't know that
Everything.
she would want to do that for her family again. And I wouldn't blame her, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh no, I wouldn't blame her at all. Like they're living a very peaceful life at this point of like, hey, we're not really in the limelight anymore. We're not under that microscope. We're not getting judged for every single decision we make. And they live that life, you know, for as long as, you know, they could. And now I don't know that she'd want to go back to it. Like she'd be
I
an
wouldn't want to.
amazing choice. She'd be an amazing choice if she ever ran for president. But I
was
could
talking
totally
about-
get it.
I was talking to Marlene, that's me and Sarah's manager, and she was like, the Democrats, what they needed to do to definitely win is they needed a famous person. Like how they got Trump. If they had The
Needed
Rock
like
or
a
somebody
famous,
like that,
yes,
they needed
a famous loved person. Like get
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves on that bitch. I would
Yeah.
vote for Keanu.
Yeah.
Or
I love
Tom
him.
Hanks.
Yeah, just a
Okay.
loved famous person.
The
Yeah.
problem is those people don't want to be under the scrutiny of being a president. They are making so much money doing movies, living a nice life.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
gonna. They've already sacrificed enough being famous people. They're like, we were already under a microscope. We don't need it to be now. Now the CIA's involved. No, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely not. I think my phone's gonna die soon.
Okay. Gina,
All right.
you have 2 specials on Amazon Prime. What are
I
they both
do.
called? And what's the latest one called?
The latest one is called The Floor is Lava. You guys can check it out on Amazon now. The first one is called Pacifically Speaking. You can check that out. Hit me up on Instagram at Brillon. If you guys, that's the one I'm on the most. I'm on Twitter and I'm on Facebook, but I'm on Instagram the most. I'm
I
on
think we
TikTok
all
too,
are.
but
Yeah.
yeah. Instagram just became my favorite, but TikTok is very entertaining. I'm just very
I love
rarely on it. I will watch it obsessively, but I'm very rarely actually posting stuff on TikTok. But at Brillon on Instagram is where you'll find me the most. And yeah, just check out those specials.
Yeah. Do a double
Check
feature.
it out.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for being patient with me,
Thanks for doing that.
guys.
Yeah, definitely. I'll see you soon. Be safe.